I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. We'll call to order the December Elizabethton Board of Education meeting. And at this time, if you'd please stand, and we'll have a moment of silence and pledge the flag, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Van Hus.
Thank you. Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's time to approve the consent agenda and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Make a motion and a second. Second. Anything on the consent or the regular that we need to adjust? You've had time to look. Everybody good? Okay. The item is to approve consent and regular agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries. It's now time for citizens to speak. We did not have anyone request to speak tonight. And also special recognition in honor of the time, the season in school, basically last half day, hard to get people together this closely, so we will get back on that schedule in January. So now we'll move on to reports, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Van Hus for the director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Pless. Just a quick update on some capital projects that we have that are moving along in the district. Of course, the Harold McCormick project, we're close to having 2 additional classrooms that will be turned back over to teachers for use. The hope is somewhere there around, hopefully by the return for the second semester, but it may push it another week or so there to finish some things up. And then that will leave 5 classrooms left on the front side. Is that right, Mr. Wampler? Yeah, on the front side to finish up the classroom portion. And then this summer, the work will focus on the hallway, finishing that up. As you approved a few months ago, they're going to start work. Well, they've actually already started work in their taping and beginning to seal off the area in the cafeteria. They'll remove the ceiling in there, the asbestos in the ceiling. They'll start that work tomorrow when everyone's out and have all of that removed by the time we return for the second semester as well. That will also allow them to put the new ductwork in the cafeteria in the center of the room. And so we're excited that you were willing and able to approve that for us to go ahead and take care of that space as well. So all that will leave eventually for the cafeteria would be to replace the windows and new floor tile, and then that space will be like brand new as well. Of course, they re-roofed the gym there at Harold McCormick last month. And would you like to give us a report on that? No leaks? No leaks, and that's straight from Miss O'Quinn there at Harold McCormick, so she doesn't have to worry about her hair getting wet. T.A. Duggar project continues to go moving along as well. We're waiting on handrails at this point, as well as glass for the doors and closers, the panic bars and things like that, and casework for the office space. But can't wait for you to be able to see that. It's just going to be a real addition to the building, not only from a security standpoint, but also aesthetically for visitors when they come to the school. If you drive by there now, we talked about this today. I was able to go to the Kiwanis Club today and talk about different projects going on in the school system. And if you drive by on East Street, unless you're really looking for it, the new porch area, the new platform area there in front of the front door, it looks like it's been there forever. So they've done a great job of tying it into the existing building, and the fact that we'll have handicapped accessibility at the front of the school for the first time in 85 years, 83, 84 years. So things continue to go along well there. The Union Pharmacy building remodel work is in full swing there. All of the studs are up in the different office and different spaces there. We even have some sheetrock hung at least on one side in the large area for the alternative school as well as the restroom. So again, things continue to go well there. Of course, you're considering the EHS training facility. You're considering that project tonight, a maximum cost on the agenda. Look forward to talking with you about that. And the baseball and softball fields, baseball field at Joe Bryan and the softball field at Elizabethton High School. The turf project for the infield is going very well. They started today actually laying the turf at the softball field. And of course, there's obviously something on the agenda for your consideration at the baseball field for an additional cost to replace the netting there at Joe Bryan Field as well. We'll talk more about that, but I know Coach Harden, he'll send me little texts, emails periodically, just, well, this is happening. So he's like a kid in a candy shop. He is so excited, and I just can't wait for that first game to see our girls out there on it. So that's kind of a summary of capital projects. Again, the COPS grant that I informed you about last month, almost $460,000. We're finalizing the contract there, and that will hopefully be on the agenda for your approval in January to approve that contract to start on the card readers for all interior classroom and office doors, as well as we're going to release an RFP for ballistic film to go on lower level windows in all of our buildings. We'll be releasing that hopefully in January, so that would be something for consideration in February, and again, that would be paid for with school safety funds and this COPS grant. And as we talked last month, this is the second time we've received a COPS grant. Before we were able to upgrade all of the camera systems in the school system, as well as help offset some of the costs for secure entrances at the other schools. So again, we're very fortunate that we've received that twice, and that's really going to, again, positively impact the safety of our students and our staff in schools. As you may have heard, Thursday, the State Department will be releasing school letter grades. I spoke again at Kiwanis today and talked about the fact that those of us that are familiar with what goes on in schools understand how hard and difficult it is to try to represent everything that goes on in a school with a letter or a number. It is so complex, everything that goes on there. So our position is those grades are just what they are. That's one interpretation of what goes on, but again, it just scratches the surface of all the great work that our staff and students have done, especially when you look back over the last 3 to 4 year period since the start of the pandemic. And even the State Department has gone on and on about all the progress the state's made, and that's all about the people that we have working with students every single day. So there is some part of this letter grade that as educators, it makes us somewhat concerned. It almost feels like we're being attacked. We're very proud of we had very good grades, but again, it's just representative of a small portion of what goes on. So that's exactly the way we're taking that. There are always areas to improve on, and we'll continue to do that. So the letter grade doesn't change one thing for us, as far as the work that's going on there and the emphasis on continuous improvement. So those will be out on Thursday, and we'll share more information about that and talk about that more in January. Obviously, another hot button topic right now in public education in the state of Tennessee focuses on vouchers. As a public educator and being in public education for 27 years, my opinion is it's not good for public education. Anything that may defer or take funding away from public schools is not a good thing. I'm a product of public schools. My children are. My wife is. I know what public schools have meant to me, our family, and I know what it's meant to so many people across our community, certainly those that haven't been blessed as much as I have. So it's really the lifeline for the underprivileged. And anything that takes away money, anytime you take money away, it's going to affect staffing, programs, and all the supports that we have in place. So there's a lot of talk about maybe there's another pot of money the state is going to have over here to offset these individuals as they go. It won't come out of our funding, but as you know, we're on a student-based funding formula now. So if Richard is in public schools and he decides to go to private school, no matter whether or not they give me that money from another pot, my $6,800 that we get for every student walks out the door when I walk out of Elizabethton High School. That's the reality. So anyone that says that it won't negatively impact public education funding, that's not genuine. That's not a genuine comment, in my opinion. So it will negatively impact. And when dollars are reduced, all those things I mentioned before will be reduced as well. I've heard a lot of talk about, well, people are against the bill, and they haven't even seen the bill, implying that anyone in public education is in some way, shape, or form scared of competition, and that's certainly not the case. We're not scared of competition, but we do expect fair competition. And so if that's the case, if it's all about that, then anyone that takes that state funding should be held to the same accountability standards and requirements that we are. You think about teachers. In a lot of situations, it's much more difficult to earn a teaching license and teach in a public school than in some other places. That's just one example of the differences between the two. Testing, we test a lot in Tennessee. We've never met a test we didn't like that we haven't administered, and we continue to do that. We have no problem with accountability and people knowing how we spend every dollar. We're not ashamed of that, and we'll continue to do the right thing with those dollars, and we'll be open and transparent about it. But that's a lot about vouchers. We'll see where that comes out as the General Assembly starts, I think, the second week of January, and maybe we'll get a look at that bill and again, be able to advocate for that. I do appreciate John Holtzclaw and his strong stance as far as his view of vouchers and his opinion, and he's vehemently opposed to that, and I'm very appreciative of that, and I know that those in our community that support public education appreciate that as well. So enough about vouchers. We've had a great first semester. We'll finish up tomorrow, half day. You think about all of the accomplishments in athletics, fine arts, academics, again, community projects, and the support that we continue to receive from the community. It's just been a great first half of the year. And again, that's a tribute to our staff and our wonderful students that we have. And it's also a tribute to you as board members and your support for the work that we do each and every day. So thank you very much, and that's my report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Van Huss. It's now time for board members' reports. I know some of us had a chance to go to the TSBA State Convention. Anybody have anything they want to share from that? No. We'll call on you.
Jamie's response was when she saw Bon
Bon Jovi. Yeah, we got to see Bon Jovi.
Said, look who's here.
Yeah.
He was not at the conference, by the
No,
way.
not
He
the
was Not at the
conference.
conference.
It'd have been a lot more interesting.
It would have been.
Anything TSBA does, we really feel like it's beneficial. They're the front runner on all of these issues. So the voucher issue, all of that, they're fighting for us and trying to give us good legal guidance, and we'll have an opportunity there the first of the year to go to a legal conference, legislative conference, where we'll get to meet with some legislators, and that will be a hot topic, as well as the NIL that they have at the collegiate level, where players can earn money. That they're trying to see how that's going to look if that approaches, and it already has some places, the high school level, and there are just a lot of things we have to be on guard for, and we appreciate their efforts to do that. But again, we appreciate the TSBA and what they do for us. Anybody, anything else?
May I say
Yes.
that I am thankful to be able to go. I've been there before in a different capacity, and it was enlightening, and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. It really is. I think we take advantage. We're required to do one day every year, but these other events And I think anything that's legislation and legal, we really need to be on top of that. So thankful for that opportunity. Thank the school system for allowing us to go. I don't see Mr. Simmerly. Don't know that he's here tonight, so we'll move on to Miss Hannah, student liaison. You have any Christmas wishes for us?
A few. No, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who made this semester successful. We have accomplished a lot at the high school, and our students have been getting really involved with different activities happening. I just wanted to mention that on January 4th, it will be the 50th anniversary of Elizabethton High School. So we are planning some activities to do when the students come back, maybe like a throwback to 1974. So hopefully the students will get involved in that, and I think it could be really fun. So that's all I have, but thank you all.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Very long time ago, yes.
Just yesterday.
Yes, it did.
Yes.
That long.
So Phil and I, and first year were you teaching there, or did you come?
75, 76.
75, 76, okay. Well, Phil and I got to walk in the building and around the trash cans and the plastic as it leaked for those first couple of years, but it's such a good building now. And so we're very thankful to have been a part of that, and I'm glad y'all are going to do something like that. It was the ugliest era in clothing, maybe in the history of the U.S. So, no, I don't know. The 70s were pretty tough. All right, we'll move on to the regular agenda then. Thank you, Hannah, and I hope you have a great Christmas. And first item on the regular agenda: approve the director's recommendation to certify charges for teacher dismissal. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A motion and a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions, any comments? Okay. All right. Hearing none, the item is to approve the director's recommendation to certify charges for teacher dismissal. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any approved or any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries. Next item, approve first reading of board policies 2.400 revenues, 2.601 fundraising activities, 2.8051 debit cards, credit cards, and credit lines, and 3.205 security. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second?
Second.
Second. All right, Mr. Van Huss.
Okay, I will give you a synopsis of these. I'm sure you had a chance to look over those. 2.400, 3 of these 4 deal with credit card usage and the controls that are in place for that. We need to clean some language up on those. So on 2.400 revenues, if you'll notice there on page 2 of 3, the new section starts there on line 20 and talks about the collection of funds through online payments, and again, the procedures that will be required to follow for that. There's a few other things there that you'll notice, but it's cleanup language to get us in line with the most current TSBA policy. And let me also say I appreciate Dr. Newman and Ms. Wilson for their work on helping us put this together. And again, this is credit card usage. We are not expanding this out to debit card usage. It will just be for credit cards usage only. In policy 2.601, fundraising activities, the same thing you'll see there. There's some online fundraising language that's been added on page 2, as well as establishing the different internal controls that will be required. It focuses on the Tennessee Internal School Uniform Accounting Policy Manual that we currently follow, so that language is in there. And so that's the essence of the change in 2.601. I'm sorry. Any question on either one of those so far? Okay. And then if you look at 2.8051, debit cards, credit cards, and credit lines. Same thing there, some cleanup language. If you'll notice the TSBA policy, it's written in a way that includes debit cards and credit cards, and we've stricken all of the references to debit cards. And again, it just focuses on credit cards. We just feel like there's a lot more control over a credit card as opposed to a debit card. So that's all that's in this particular policy, is eliminating those references to debit cards and credit lines. So that's the conclusion of the ones that deal with the credit card usage. Policy 3.205 focuses on security, and there's in the statute, there's a lot of discussion about, especially in the mornings for student drop-off, about a primary entrance into a building. And there are some situations where there may be the need for more than one location. And so what this policy does, if you notice there on lines 20 through 25, it outlines that it's the principal and the school's responsibility to include language and reference to that in their safety plan. As you know, those safety plans are not part of public record, so we felt like that was the appropriate place to list those safety measures and those other alternative drop-off locations, was to put that back in the safety plans. And Ms. Owen helped us with craft this language as well. So that's all that changes in policy 3.205. So any questions on that one?
We have any school that just has a singular entrance? I mean,
No, we
I
don't.
think almost all, just with the number of, when schools are located in residential sections especially, I'm sure that has a big part of it. I just didn't know if we had any that, I
Community
thought all of them
schools.
had at least,
Yeah.
yeah.
And,
okay.
and some have multiple parent drop-off locations, and some have parent drop-off locations and bus.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, any comments or questions? Item is to approve first reading of board policies 2.400 revenues, 2.601 fundraising activities, 2.8051 debit cards, credit cards, and credit lines, and 3.205 security. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries. Next item, approve modification to the agreement between Elizabethton City Schools, the City of Elizabethton, and Boyd Sports to complete infield turf installation and park improvements at Joe O'Brien Field at a cost to the system of $165,715. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, either one of those.
Okay, so if you remember at our, I think it was our October meeting, you approved an amount of $152,905 for work that focused on two areas there: the infield turf at Joe O'Brien Field, as well as moving the retaining wall, the knee wall that's behind home plate. They're going to move that approximately 15 to 20 feet closer to home plate, so there's not so much foul territory behind. That does a couple things. One is it eliminates the amount of turf that would be needed, plus it also creates more space behind home plate for additional seating. So that was what you approved at the October meeting. Well, since then, they've looked at when they pull that knee wall in, there's going to be the need to modify the netting system. And so the requested change now is for a total of $12,809 in additional funding, which gets you to the $165,715 that's listed there. So I want to make sure you knew it's not an additional $165,000. It's another $12,809, and that's our third of that, again, in partnership with us, the City of Elizabethton, and Boyd Sports. So really, this has to be done, and it's really going to dress the park up. It's really going to raise the aesthetics and the functionality of that netting system tremendously, being able to do this. So, questions on that?
Or comments, anything? Okay, the item is to approve modification to the agreement between Elizabethton City Schools, the City of Elizabethton, and Boyd Sports to complete infield turf installation and park improvements at Joe O'Brien Field at a cost to the system of $165,715. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Last item on the agenda, approve a maximum amount not to exceed $3,750,000 for Preston Construction to complete construction of a training facility at Elizabethton High School. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Second. All right.
Okay.
You want to
Yeah, absolutely.
get that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is another project we've talked about for a long time, and we've been able to work with Preston Construction and Thomas Weems Architect, and you'll notice there in the documents that you have, we've settled on a facility that would have a 30-yard by 30-yard area of artificial turf. It would also have an auxiliary gymnasium with a basketball court that could also be used for volleyball and other activities. And it also has a new weight room that's larger than the one that we currently utilize underneath the visiting bleachers there in the gym at Elizabethton High School in Treadway Gymnasium. The intention would be to leave the weight room that's there now. We would continue to leave that there and utilize that because the demands on that space have done nothing but increase over the years. Every single extracurricular activity wants to use that weight room. I'll tell you how serious it is. I've even spoken with Mr. Valentine and Phil Ledford, who works with the Color Guard. Thank you, Color Guard. And he's talked about what he thinks is going to raise them to the next level are two things. Having a winter guard, and it's basically they work on those skills and do performances in the winter months. So this gives them an area that they could have to utilize to practice. And the second thing is, he said the next thing that's going to raise their level is getting stronger. So now we're talking about color guard that's probably going to be wanting to utilize the weight room. So when you look at that, plus all the sports, there's a huge demand there. Now, that's a lot of talk about athletics, and we've also touched on band, but it's also going to impact the general student that has to take physical education and different courses that are required to graduate. And so this is going to be additional space. It will be sprinkled so it can be utilized for classes. So this is another area for our physical education classes to be able to expand and spread out. Again, the original design of the school was to have another auxiliary gym. The auxiliary gym that's there, the wrestling room now, was supposed to be larger. The pool was supposed to be Olympic size. All those things were cut at the end of the project because of lack of funding. So we talked a lot about when we constructed the stadium that was kind of a campus completion. But the reality is this project probably gets us closer to campus completion when you talk about the square footage originally designed for the high school. Now, obviously, there was no discussion at that point in time about an indoor space for turf, but that just opens up the doors. That's the way, that's the nature of athletics today, is to have a space where you can train year-round. I know that Tony Briggs is here with the Touchdown Club, who's been instrumental in supporting that program, and you know we talked a lot about this program years ago about some way to try to get this facility in place because we knew the positive impact it would have on football. But again, this is not a football facility. Are they going to benefit from it? They sure are. But all those groups that I just mentioned to you, and when you look at the percent of students in our schools, especially the high school, that participate in one of those activities I mentioned, that's a high percentage. But again, I think there's opportunity for T.A. Duggar to use this facility. I could even see a situation where they have field day scheduled at an elementary school, bad weather rolls in, and they are able to come to this indoor facility and continue to do the activity. So it's a multi-purpose space, just like when we talked about the stadium. A lot of focus on football, but we've put our money where our mouth is. We said when we built that it was going to be a community facility, and it certainly has. It's positively impacted the band. We're in the second year of our band competition there that's been wildly successful. Just capitalized off the success of the band, and 2 straight state championships, just being able to feed off that. And then, of course, the partnership we have with the city of Elizabethton for those concerts. And if you've been to those, wow, what a huge positive for our community. And we've just gotten so much positive publicity across the region based on those concerts. So again, we're just scratching the surface on that facility and the positive and the way it can positively impact the community. And this facility will be the exact same way. When you think about this maximum amount, again, 3.75 million, we will continue to work with the project manager to continue to try to shrink down the cost. We'll look for some ways that we can maybe continue to work that down. But this allows Mr. Weems to take the conceptual drawings and design that we have now and really start on the nuts and bolts of that, where fixtures go, exactly where, heating units are going to be, all of that detail. And again, as we continue that process, we'll continue to look for ways that we can reduce the cost. As far as revenue sources to help fund this, I think I shared some information with you maybe yesterday, I think, that Ms. Wilson helped put together for us. You look at, we have some different funds set aside in reserves. We also have fund balance that will help us pay for this. As you know, the city also gave us $1 million, $500,000 for 23-24, and another $500,000 for 24-25. Some of those funds will be used for this project as well. And then the half-cent sales tax that someone sitting up here was instrumental in getting for the school system several years ago, and we continue to reap the benefits of that half-cent. Right now, it's generating very well. It's generating enough in excess each year that there's almost 1.5 million in there that we could pull out to put toward this project and still have a good balance in there to continue to make the other bond payments of which it was set up to do. So it's really positioned us. There's no better time than now to move forward with this project and the positive impact that it will have on not just our students, but our community as well. So I've said a lot. Do you all have questions for me?
Could I say something
Yes,
about,
sir.
for years, people have said that we were focused only on athletics. And I used to go, and I had one band person who wore a sweatshirt that said, "Who's come to see the team? I've come to see the band." And I used to sit down with her, and I am amazed at how the academics has played in with the athletics. Our people get along, and under those circumstances, that's the difference. And it is all about discipline, whether it's athletic or academic. And I'm just so thankful that our people see that, and the school system is going places. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Do you think, Mr. Van Huss,
Yes.
that maybe the way that we address it, the training facility, if we could address it a different way, that people wouldn't think? Because if you look at training, you think it's going to be all athletics.
Sure.
So it was
Yeah,
another way
we've
to
thought about that,
present
trying
it
to
to
come
the
up with
public.
some creative ways that we could name the facility. But again, you think about all of the different things that we even talked about today that are going on. The work at Harold McCormick, the work at T.A. Duggar. Those are things that certainly aren't focused on athletics. And so, again, you look at the projects over the years that we've been able to do, not only with this half-cent, but other ways that we've saved money to improve schools. You look at the funding that we've put toward high-quality instructional materials, additional staff to help students, all of these different ways. It's kind of like the letter grades. It's more than just an achievement score. When you talk about an experience at a school, it's what do you do outside the academic classroom?
Yeah.
What are those things that keep kids coming back, that push them across the finish line to graduate and help them focus on what's going to come after they walk across that stage? And projects like this certainly help push students and help them realize what their dreams are, and we help them achieve that. So it's part of that experience. And anyone that says it's not really doesn't know what goes on in schools.
Something you have mentioned, I coached freshman basketball when I was a teacher there. And there's some days we wouldn't be able to practice till 6, 7 o'clock at night because you had boys there, you had the girls there. And they can't drive, so they couldn't go to an elementary school. So a lot of kids would just hang out at that whole time. So with another gym, it gives opportunity for us to get practice done quicker so they can get home quicker.
Absolutely.
As well, and also, even softball and baseball will benefit from it. And of course, they start their season in March, try to prepare in February. It's cold, snowing sometimes, so it gives them a facility. So it's going to impact everyone, in my opinion. I know Mr. Plesson, when he was principal and I was his principal, I think we come up with plans way back then, a long time ago, for a facility, something like this, and I'm glad it's finally come to fruition.
And the location where we're going to put the building, the construction will take place is, other than some parking, we're really not using much. It's kind of unused space, and the proximity to the building. What we'd like to do down the road, phase 2, we'd like to add on to this structure, include a couple of dressing rooms, and be able to attach it actually to the gymnasium. So then there would be free flow from all those facilities. Right now, it's a completely separate building, but that would be something down the road that we would look at as well to help address some other things that are in our master plan, which are dressing facilities that are limited there at the school. I don't know if you all would mind, Coach Holt, Tony, do either one of you all have anything you want to share?
I just want to say thank you to this point for your support, and just like you guys said, I could go on and on about the benefits. They're endless, and then we'll learn as we go, even once this facility's in place, how to even better use it as we go. Just like the stadium. The stadium has been so impactful for classrooms, sports, ROTC. I mean, the city, on and on. So this facility, just like the stadium, is going to take our school and programs to the next level. It's something that nobody in this area will have. So, I mean, you talk about a superior advantage to our students. That's what this is. And so just thank you guys for your support to this point, and appreciate it.
I'd just like to thank the city council for their past and continued support of our school system and everything that we do. The half-cent sales tax, I can't say enough, it's been a blessing for our school system.
And that's a great point. I'm so glad you mentioned that. As you know, earlier this year, City Council voted to continue to give us that half-cent sales tax revenue. And that was a huge step. We've asked for that for years, and they actually approached me about, hey, we think it's time to do that. So if that doesn't speak volumes about the city government, and not only their trust in us, but they see all the great things that are going on, and they understand what an important partner we are in the community, in our development and our progression as well. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's a dream come true for a lot of people to see this. They said shoot for the sky, and we had plans that were drawn up that were sky, but there was a lot of stuff we didn't have to have. This building checks off so many boxes that, we didn't think we could build a new stadium. And that's why we looked at that years ago, and we said if we build a stadium, it will come. It did. We love it. And I just think it's huge for I just think about what our kids get to experience and what this will do. Just pretty huge.
I think Hannah has something she'd like to
Yes,
share.
real quick, from a student's perspective, Dr. Minton and I had a meeting yesterday, and we talked about the training facility. And I believe that physical health and mental health are heavily connected. And so by having this facility, not only like our lady strength and conditioning classes and all of those classes incorporated during our daily school hours, students can experience this. And there's some students who are concerned about their physical fitness, but they're not involved in any sports. And so this opportunity, this facility will allow them, the classes not to get so full so fast, and they'll have room for students to actually care about their physical fitness.
That's a good perspective.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. The item is to approve a maximum amount not to exceed $3,750,000 for Preston Construction to complete construction of a training facility at Elizabethton High School. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none. The motion carries. So thank you for that. Next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Thursday, January the 18th, 2024. It just sounds not even right.
Sounds kind of Star Trek-ish, doesn't it?
Yeah, from the board, we hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Thank you, and can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Done. Thank you.